Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare just remember one pastime of Aindra Prabhu that came to my mind, so I want to share it with you. Uh, uh, when he started to dress differently from other devotees, the temple present, called to his attention. You should not dress like that. He said something. So, and the next day he brought himself in a different way, like a Babaji. So, I mean to say, he was actually not in the Varnashram thing, Brahmachari, this sannyasi, Babaji. So, pure Vaishnavas above all this designation. So, finally they accepted, okay, you do whatever you like, whatever you feel comfortable with. And I mean to say, and he liked it when I was at Brindavan. He liked it. The pastime I will tell in the lecture, the classes I give, he say, "Oh, when you are giving next class again," like that. So we have very nice relationship. Very good, very friendly. So I didn't have too much association with him. I would not live in Brindavan. I was sometimes. I used to go once a year every Kartik, then to do a Kartik things. But I keep very nice, beautiful memories of association. It's a great reward. Too bad he had to leave us. So I think Krishna called him, so he will not, get more involved in this material world, the politics. His famous book. Wow. Anyway, very controversial personality, pure in heart. So I wanted to share with you, maybe you don't know much about me, that I was born in Aleppo, Syria, the Middle East, in 1951, to a Christian family. It was Muslim country, minority Christians. And before I was born, my parents lost three children to diseases after being born, 1, 2 years. So they went to the church and they prayed to God. And, if the next son will survive death, we promise you we'll dress him as a monk for 3 years. And we'll offer him for service. So from the age of 2 to 5, I was dressed like an old monk, Christian monk. 3 years. Uh, so when my parents immigrated to South America, at the age of 14, I was supposed to go to the monastery, become a Christian monk. At the age of 14, I was inclined. But my parents just emigrated that year. I decided to go rather with them than to stay alone in the monastery. That was Krishna's mercy. Because if I stayed there in the Middle East, I would never make the notice there. It's not allowed. It's not allowed. It's prohibited. Muslim country is very difficult to reach. There's no freedom of religion. So anyway, then I start asking questions. Once I asked a priest, the Bible said we are made in the image of God. So how God looks like? How I want to know. He said, that's a mystery. Nobody has seen God. And I thought, how he knows that nobody? Did he ask everyone on the planet? Maybe some person must know how God looks like. We have seen God. Anyway, so I read the Bible. Jesus said, there are more truth to be told that you are not ready to understand. Seek the truth and it will make you free. So he's giving permission. You don't find it here, find it somewhere else. So that search, for spirituality, for God, I became a vegetarian and started practicing yoga, hatha yoga. It was a new thing in South America. It was the first country in South America, Venezuela, that yoga started there. So And then after like a couple of years practicing yoga, I was unsatisfied. So I asked the teacher, because also in the yoga they have this idea that God is energy everywhere, personal idea. But I wanted to know personal God. So anyway, one friend of mine invited me to inauguration of a new yoga center in Bogota, Colombia. So we went there, inauguration, nice. We had a few friends came together. They invited us for the vegetarian restaurant, and we had a nice group talking. And I told my friend, "Do you want me to share the thought I just got?" He said, "Yeah, yes, please tell us." I told them, "Do you see this building through the window? This made by man. And do you see this uh, roses here on the table? So fragrant, beautiful. These are made by God. If God can make such beautiful things, imagine how beautiful must be God. But unfortunately, I don't know Him yet. But I promise you, the day I will come to know God in truth, I will give Him my life. I will surrender my life." My friends, so a very nice thought. But please take it easy. We don't want you know. And after a few days, we went back to Caracas. That was in 1973. And walking on avenue, one brahmachari stopped us to offer some books. We have a talk. "Oh, you practice yoga? Please visit our temple. We have a Sunday loving feast, and we read Bhagavad Gita, we chant mantras, there's dancing, feasting, nice vegetarian feast. Please come." So they say, "Yeah, we like this. We're interested in this." So we went to the Sunday feast, and I entered the temple. I told the devotees, "Can I ask you a question?" He said, "Yes, any question." I said, "For you, how God looks like?" I still have this curiosity. And they showed me beautiful big oil painting of Radha Krishna with the beautiful cow, peacocks, the Yamuna River with lotus flowers, nature. Here is God, this is God. And I look at the painting in amazement. And I thought to myself, why not? He looks very good. He could be God. And I thought to myself, all religions of the world are looking for God. And this Hare Krishna people have his painting on the wall of their temple. That's far out. That's a revolution. That's a spiritual revolution. We should tell everyone about this. They don't know. All religion looking for God. They don't know how He looks, what He does. Only God created the world 6 days, the seventh day He took rest. What He did in the 8 days, what He did before creating the world. So there's no mystery. No, they don't know. That's why Jesus said that there are more truth to be told, but we are not ready to understand. He knew more. Imagine if you have told the people God is blue, play the flute, they will not wait 3 years to kill him. Friday. Anyway, so uh, so in the Sunday feast, the kirtan, the prasad, the lecture, everything, I was immediately attracted, immediately. And at the end of the program, one of them approached me and said, "Can you help us clean the temple?" I said, "Yes, of course." My friends look at me, they thought you. So they told me to mop the floor. How much more? Okay, we have to wrap up. We only have 5 minutes. Anyway, to make a long story short, after doing that service, I felt so nice. And I started coming more to the temple, started chanting japa, the rest. Then I told my parents, next day I'm going to go temple become a monk, Hare Krishna monk. I arrived at the airport, and one Asian immigration officer told me, "Are you Buddhist?" I said, "No, I'm Hare Krishna monk." Dress, like a Buddhist. Anyway, with the chanting, so I told my parents, "Okay, tomorrow I am." My mother started crying. "You are my dearest son. I told them, "You should be happy." They said, "What? We don't want you to go." I said, because you made this promise to God. I'm helping you to fulfill your promise to God. They said, well, we meant the Christian God, not the Hindu God. I thought we should have been more specific there, because God is not Indian or Christian or Hindu or Muslim. It's one, different names. Anyway, so that's the story. And I wrote a book actually about poems, stories, and I would like to show you. It's called When Times Get Tough, What to Do. Uh, so in this book there are poems, there are stories, short stories. Uh, One short story I would like to share with you in this book is an eagle who believed himself to be a chicken. Because one stormy night, an egg slided down the mountain, and the hen found it and put it in her nest. And after some days, the many chickens were born and one small eagle. So the small eagle, being surrounded by hens and chickens, thought himself to be a chicken too. So he was following the mother everywhere. She was feeding him also. The poor eagle. Then one day he looked at the sky and saw a big eagle flying off the sky. And he asked the mother, the hen, "What bird is that?" "Oh, that's an eagle, but you're a chicken. Don't think otherwise. You are my son, you are a chicken." And what is the moral of the story? If you want to fly like an eagle, don't listen to the chicken. Don't listen to materialistic people who tell you you are the body. To believe you are a chicken means you believe you're the body. And to believe you're an eagle means you are the soul who can fly high up back to Krishna. But the story doesn't end there. So that big eagle flying up the sky, he saw the small eagle down there. He came down, called him apart, and asked him, "What are you doing with all this chicken? I live here, I'm a chicken. This is my brothers." No, you're not. You're an eagle like me. But they assured me I'm a chicken. They're lying to you. Don't listen to them. Would you like me to teach you how to fly? Oh, yes, I saw you flying so beautifully up there. You would like, really, you're going to teach me? Yes, come, climb in my back. I'm going to teach you. So he took him. So that means that's the guru who's rescuing disciple from ignorance, from materialistic association. And do you know how eagles teach their offspring how to fly? They push them out of the nest. Fly or die. Of course, they wait until their wings are grown enough, to do it. And these are many stories like that, and many poems also about the holy name, about the holy name, about Govardhan Parikrama, many things. So, and 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 I presented this book in Mexico in Spanish to the poet, the poet home, house of the poets. All poets come together. One of the poets liked it so much the book. She wrote a very nice recommendation of the book. So this Mexican poet, his name is Roxanne Eldridge Thomas. She's a Mexican poet and theater director. She published 9 books of poetry, and which have been translated in English, French, Portuguese, Arabic, and her poetry has been collected in numerous anthologies in Mexico, Spain, Canada, and France. And she said about this little book, the greatest beauty and the deepest wisdom come together in this book that His Holiness Bhaktisundar Goswami offers us, like spring water or like the tastiest fruit. Like spring water because it refreshes our senses and washes our soul. Like the tastiest fruit because it feeds our hearts. Because these poems and short stories are a source of joy that is experienced with the soul and heart overflowing due to the teaching that emerge from the word of His Holiness, but also to the ecstasy of His dedication, in which He makes us participate with the reading that elevate us to the highest peaks of mystical literature from humility. Let's enjoy this gift. So I'm bringing you this gift. You can acquire it if you want. I can sign it for you if you want. It's up to you. I'm gonna also present it in the San Diego Temple tomorrow, the Sunday feast. Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada, Gaur Premanandi. So Vrindavan Prabhu, what comes next?
Okay, thanks, Maharaj. Wonderful class. So now we're going to hear a little bit more from various devotees who had very close and personal association with Aindra to varying degrees. Some maybe more, some maybe less. But in any case, they met Aindra Prabhu and had some very nice dealings and interactions. So right now we will hear from His Grace Bhakta Avatar Prabhu.
Vrindavan and I were initiated by Swami Aindra as our matrix, trying to to the best of our ability to follow his footsteps, follow his instructions. I was bored by the whole name. So as I said earlier today, completely agree with what Ron said.
Who was he younger? Who was he?
Wrong way.
He was trying to kill him in 2030 years. How old is he? Your age?
I always feel very inspired when glorify the holy name and give it to others.
Your wife?
Most importantly, we can do in our lives.
She
Naima
never
is
says
a
he
perfect example.
She was always too shy.
She's always chanting the holy name.
I mean, I like when I cut mine short, you know. I could. No, I don't. But, you know, it's like, I mean, how late do we want to bring
Spreading
this?
the holy name of
I mean, then you can get into
Andrew told me one
you want
time
the feast
that the
circle.
main purpose of this 24-hour church ends
You know, they
when
have people like Madhav Mahotsa.
to actually purify the whole creation.
No, but
Pure chanting of the holy
I
name.
guess did he see? Yeah, he would have been a kid if he had seen Aindra at all.
Because the holy name being chanted purely in Vrindavan, it affects the whole creation. Very powerful. And the holy name chanted anywhere pure, even not so pure, it affects the whole creation. But if we're in Vrindavan, whatever devotional service we do, it produces at least 1,000 times more greater effect. Aindra said that many times. He used to always encourage devotees to be in Vrindavan, chant in Vrindavan, chant, not only chant in Vrindavan, but chant Shri. That means to actually focus purely on the holy name, chant the holy name with sincerely with all our hearts. That's Shri. Because Krishna didn't holy name and Krishna are non-different. And Krishna's given us everything. He's given us our life. What more can we offer Krishna than our life? Our life comes from Krishna. We should give our life. And how do we give our life to Krishna, especially in this age of Kali? Chant the holy name of Krishna as purely as we can. And we were given the process by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself. Harinama, Harinama, Harinama. Always chant. There's no other way. I want to chant purely, like Aindra Prabhu. Just to add to what Ram Roy so eloquently stated before about his qualities, I'd like to tell you a story. And this will solidify what he expressed Sayendra's goal is to give the holy name to everyone without reservation, distinction. Just give it to everyone. So I was in Guri, this was in 2010. The second time I went to where the Puri Rath Yatra. I was very intent on going, even though everybody else she was close to, the closest people were gone. Her dog was gone, her ball was gone, her Linda was gone. I was still there, and so I went into Aindra's room, and I asked her for my passport. She had a and so I went in there and my passport. She said, "Why did you get your passport?" I said, "Well, I'm going to the Puri Rath Yatra, and I want to go to Bengal after that, and go out because I had to go out of the country for this 6 months." And so he says, "Oh my God, you're leaving?" I said, "Maybe I should go with you." I was shocked. It struck my heart. This was like a couple days before the pool. So then I thought, I felt bad about it. But I was Love Rathayatra was something Gandha was Rathayatra fanatic. So I said, well, I feel bad that I ended doesn't want me to go Rathayatra. And the first time I went to 2001, and I was there with Radhanath Swami and like over 2,000 devotees. We had a huge gathering of the ISKCON devotees. We were surrounded by police. And it was so ecstatic. The inner circle, which was like Radhanath Swami and his sannyas friends, they were all dancing together. I got in there for a few minutes. Snuck in there. Danced with the big guys. And anyway, so at one point, I thought, well, let me see what it's like outside the big circle, outside the police protection, because we were all just chanting and dancing, in ecstasy. With 2,500 of those. So I went out of the circle, and almost immediately I got stampeded. I almost got knocked off of my feet. And I said, wow, how about it? So went back inside. So this time I'm thinking, okay, I really want to experience what it is to be a Puri Ramya on my own, without so much police protection. Well, which is only one person Krishna. So anyway, one Mataji, she told me that she had hugged Lord Jaya. And so I said, this time I'm going to get up there. I'm going to go for it. So after the Rath Yatra, how many people have been to Puri Rath Yatra? Only one. Okay. Oh. So you know how it is. It's like it's intense. So many. If you can imagine, say the 91 freeway. The 91 freeway, how wide it is. The Grand Road is like, would you say it's wide, as wide or wider than the 91 freeway? At least as wide. So this road for 3 miles is packed, completely packed with people, more packed than we are. And you can hardly move. Like when you're close to the car, you can move. So I thought, well, let me just do what I can and see if I can go grab the ropes. So I went and grabbed the ropes, and the ropes are like this. And so I got it and I grabbed the ropes, and all these people are piling on top of me. God, I got to get out of here. I'm thinking, but as soon as I let go of the rope and so I could get out of there, it was like, people were storming on me like this because everybody's rushing to grab the ropes, and I almost got knocked off my feet. And luckily, I just hit somebody and bounced back, and I bounced back for the rope. I just grabbed on the ropes and hung on until it stopped. Then I ran. Anyway, that's wild road. Watch out and wild. So then, after the rock out is over, then the cart stops. And if they haven't gotten to the end point, then they start the next thing. So once they get to the end point, they get to the Gandhicha temple, and they sit outside all night and all the next day. So I said, okay, this is my opportunity. So I go up to the cart. The bottom of the cart is about, it's almost as high as that bottom of the cart. Not so close to, maybe about over wide. So, they had the darshan line going up. So I went up and followed everybody. One of Lord Jagannath. All these folks, they're up there, they're touching Lord Jagannath. So I tried to go from the front, and there was a devotee from Bombay who was with me, and he was Indian, so he was able to get close. But I tried to go in front of Lord Jagannath, like I'm a big man. And so they're all hitting me with the conduct, the guys that take care of Lord Jagannath, they're all hitting me with big sticks. Like they're kind of, it didn't hurt that way. There's kind of like, when I was a kid, the teacher, when you were bad, they used to whack you with a ruler. One of those yardstick ruler, those wood things of whack. It was like that. Foreigner, get out of here. They're telling me to get out. Kind of thing. And the other ones are pushing me, to the side. And so the crowd is moving this way. And so I said, what am I going to do? So I was praying to Lord God, mercy. And Prabhu next to me. Luckily he was there, because I didn't see it. But there was a little tunnel. It was like a little tunnel like this. He pointed out, he said, go there. And I just got down on my stomach. I was crawling. I crawled through that tunnel on my stomach. And I crawled right up to Lord Joe. It was about from me to Mars, St. Mars and Lord Joe. I crawled on my stomach like a snake, which I am. Crawled up there. And I get to him, and I grabbed him really wide, like this, and you know, Lord John is made of wood, but he felt so soft. Felt like Madam Mahos when you hug Madam Mahos. Oh, yeah, this is great, you know. It's excellent. And I'm just praying to him. Please, make the whole thing everywhere. Give I into the folks, you know, let's spread the whole thing everywhere. And so I just felt like the Lord John and I were just giving his blessings that Aindra was going to like spread the holy name throughout the whole creation. And then, so that was ecstatic. So I just stayed there, you know, as long as I could. And I don't remember exactly what happened, you know, but this was experience. It's not that sad to leave or what. I don't know. There was someone grabbed me out. Anyway, after I left, then a couple of days later, we were at the ISKCON temple in Peru, and I walked in this room, and there was a devotee sitting there, looked really morose. And he looks at me and goes, and with a sad face goes, and when I heard that, I went, wow. At first I was ecstatic, wow, went back to Godhead. You know, I was thinking like you hear in the Bible time, you know, Narada Muni goes back to Godhead and then, you know, he's back the next day. It was like that, you know. And then I realized, what? Back to Godhead? You mean he left his body? You know, they were both while morose, you know, hugging each other. You know, so then immediately I changed my tail. I was going to join Lokanath Swami on this program in Maharashtra. Changed my tail. Immediately went back to Vrindavan. And when I got there, I could just see that Aindra was still, even though he wasn't physically present, he was there. He was empowering all the devotees. Every single devotee in the kirtan party was 100 times better than he was. It was like Aindra was singing in the place. Actually fulfilling that promise. You know, purify the whole universal consciousness with each other. And we can see that it's been like what Rama was talking about. There's been like a Harinam revolution. Since I went back to God, you know, so many people, you know, have been like taking up the banner of Harinam and chanting Aindra tunes. You hear it all the time. Anywhere you go where there's like this kind of youth, they're all chanting. Because he's empowering them. You know, oh, really? This Prabhu, I'm already now. I was in New York at the Rath Yatra, and day after Rath Yatra, that's my way it helps organize this festival. Temple, all night, travel all day, all night. So, you know how after the kirtan, well nowadays sometimes the kirtan stops. But anyway, I don't remember if there was And nowadays, at least in Ram Roy's party, it's like a Khanda Kirtan. When they're changing leaders, then everybody else will keep the whole. So whether or not it was like that, or whether there not there was a law, anyway, all these were kind of waiting for and all of a sudden, I hear this hernia. It's not like all back and been down with Aindra. And then all my Harinam started stinging me with Aindra too.
No.
It's all the mercy of Aindra. And empowering these devotees to like chant the pure holy name. And we've seen this, so many devotees, Ram Roy, Darwin, all Aaron, Danny, we did this amazing Harinam. We led this amazing Harinam in LA, and we had a static program. My church came around with them, saying this power of the holy name. So it's all the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and his devotees led by Prabhu. Turn over to the next speaker. Thank you very much.
So next we'll hear from someone who we are very grateful, graced by his presence here today. Temple President of ISKCON San Diego, Balaram Prabhu.
Hey, whoa.
Singing us messages.
Like, Bob, if you don't give me the green screen, I'll whip you. I was going to do this.
Om Gyanatibrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshuramitam Yena Tasya Namaha Vancha Bhakti Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. I believe it was 2009. It was the first time I visited Vrindavan. No. Thank you. That works. It was 2009, I believe. And I was living in the temple for a few years at that point. And I knew Vrindavan Prabhu because he would live in San Diego. So we had some friendship. And Vrindavan Prabhu, he said, would you like to meet Aindra Prabhu? And I said, oh yes, I would love to. And yeah, at the time I wasn't initiated Bhakti Brahma. But I was enthusiastic to meet him. But somehow or other days passed, and we were there for maybe a week before going to the next destination. And I didn't meet him. I didn't think about it. So what we could learn from that is, if anybody ever has an opportunity to meet a great devotee, they should immediately take it. I had another similar experience like that with another devotee who I could have spent a lot of time with. He was the first devotee who gave me the Srila Prabhupada's book, but I didn't. So now I try to make it a very important principle in my life that whenever I can have the association of devotees, all devotees, but especially more advanced, more advanced devotees, I make my effort to get their association. And fast forward, we were on Harinam, downtown San Diego. At the end of each Harinam, Bhajan Swami, we would say, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai. We would say, delivering all the Jagais and Madais Ki Jai, of which there is no shortage. So, we were out in Harinam one night, and nowadays, news travels fast. So while we were there in Harinam, we heard the news of Aindra Prabhu's departure. We were out in Harinam with Danavir Goswami. And devotees told Danavir Goswami while we were driving back to the temple. And then Danavir Goswami, he became very, very silent, and he didn't want to talk. So it was a very intense time for him. But there's so many things we could learn from Aindra Prabhu in his writings, in his classes, in his all of his wonderful kirtans that he produced. When we think of Aindra Prabhu in Vrindavan dedicated himself to the 24-hour kirtan, devotees sometimes recall how Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur he had a dream. And in the dream, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told him that he should go Samadhi of Srila Haridas Thakur and chant the Hare Krishna mantra. And he said by doing that, he will purify the whole universe. So similarly, when we think of Aindra Prabhu there in the 24-hour kirtan, he was purifying the universe. That's the whole thing. That's the whole name chanted by such great devotees. And different levels of disease we can understand when a great person leaves, but it's a great loss, actually. There's no replacing such devotees. And we see that practically he inspired so many devotees in their lives. You think of, there's one devotee, Madhava, from Mauritius, and he was, as he describes and as he thought of himself, lost, materially, spiritually. And he went to Vrindavan and he started associating with Aindra Prabhu, and he now he traveled all over the world chanting Hare Krishna, famous Madhava. So Aindra Prabhu inspired him and so many others. There's one devotee, Varun. He was also a similar case. He had a lot of attachment for Aindra Prabhu, and at one particular point, he asked Aindra Prabhu, "Can you please chant on my beads?" Because he had this desire, he wanted to be initiated by him. So he said, "Can you please chant on my beads?" And Aindra Prabhu said, "Yes, I can do that." So Aindra Prabhu started chanting on his beads throughout the day. So then Aindra Prabhu gave Varun's beads back, and then Varun said, "Now can you give me a spiritual name?" And then Aindra Prabhu said, "Don't try to cheat me. Don't try to trick me." So, he didn't give him that name. He didn't initiate any formal disciples. It's actually inconceivable loss when such devotees leave. And when we think of Aindra Prabhu and many devotees, there's a all devotees are unique in their own way. I mean, as souls, we're all unique. And sometimes devotees, they think of Sridhar Swami, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. Sridhar Swami. Jai Maharaj, Hare Krishna. Radha Raman Maharaj ki Jai. So, they think of Sridhar Swami, Srila Prabhupada's disciple. And Sridhar Swami, for those of you who know Jolly Swami, he had this particular saying. He would say, be yourself, be yourself and make your own contribution. So, be yourself in Krishna consciousness and make your own contribution. So devotees will contribute in different ways. Devotees will contribute in different ways. Some devotees will dedicate their lives to establishing Varnashram or 24-hour kirtan. Of course, kirtan should be the center of all these activities. But we see that Aindra Prabhu specifically dedicated himself to kirtan. And the way he lived so austerely. But in our own way, we can be ourselves and make our own contributions and follow in his footsteps to whatever degree we can. And in principle, that's two. One is to Aindra Prabhu's mood. He was in his internal meditation, meditating on Radha and Krishna, so it's Madhurya. And then externally, he was giving Krishna to others, that Audarya principle. So yeah, it's very happy to say a few words about Aindra Prabhu, so thank you all very much. Aindra Prabhu ki Jai. Prabhupada ki Jai.
Let's welcome His Holiness Radha Raman Swami Maharaj. Maharaj is a Brajvasi. He lives in Vrindavan for so many decades. He still lives, lived in the same ashram as Avacharya ashram, which is basically right next to Krishna. Now it's been torn down. It was there since 1970. So yeah, Maharaj is a great soul. He's the brother of His Holiness Radha Swami Maharaj, and we're happy to have him. He has taken a quick detour. He's on the way to Dwarka. But now he's here, and we're capturing him for another at least 5-10 minutes before he heads over to.
I was living my room and the room. The year Aindra Prabhu started 24-hour kirtan. I was also present there. We had one kirtan. My person then, up to last day, last night, I was with him. So, up to since morning I have started this Maya. So I came to know that today is a special day for Aindra Prabhu. Actually, I came to darshan all of you and Aindra Prabhu. What I can say for us, Aindra Prabhu is like for us, not for only me, the whosoever living in that ashram. Aindra Prabhu is most respected, honored personality in our ashram. For us, he was like daily walking every single day, every moment here with us. So just I just only came here to offer our senses and Prabhu and all that between all of you. And really I have such a place that I have to reach. I was supposed to reach there before 8 o'clock. All known to me, Maharaj and Prabhuji. Many years still lived there because they always playing harmonium. So this is my appreciation for us by living for us. Aindra Prabhu is like I think a demigod. We had fortune whenever he was, and many times I personally used to sit in room. Room also we had to and it have been visited his room, okay, no more existing now. The Tamal tree, the Tamal tree, this is now Krishna Baram temple, the Tamal tree is not original one. But when Aindra Prabhu started Kirtan just near Tamal tree, and then when Tamal tree died, the whole plant, whole was a dry wood, he kept in his room. And not only that, Prabhu has one, what we say that is Baruga. You have seen sometime the photo painting of Bhat Goswami carrying a lota pot that is that the still is it was there and the whole Tamal tree where Aindra Prabhu started Kirtan and where Tamal tree died, dead. And we took whole tree and planted, putting the still the wood was there. So he was such a Krishna conscious personality. And from whenever he was speaking, it appears that Krishna Prem was emanating, mixing with his voice and entering the audience here. Very Krishna conscious person, perfect person. Especially in our society, we are not so much. But we will say Raganuga Bhakti, we say spontaneous attraction for pastime for Sri Radharani and Krishna and Brajvasi and Krishna. So we felt that situation. We regret that last moment I was also at the last night. And the market was better came entered in the only because morning time usually he used to dress Radha-shyam Sundar. So he regularly he was dressing. So that particular night did not come on the time. So we were thinking maybe but when the time came, so other pujari took charge for dressing Radha-shyam Sundar. And then we started Guru Puja. Yes, so bringing from Samadhi, deities we bring temple. And that time one devotee rushed went there up in the bathroom. She was knocked the door, but it was locked. And then he could understand the smell, smoke was there coming. So immediately the whatever the security in charge, because India has such a rules and regulation that something like that they call from the police came there. And I was also break door and we saw that DT, of course he has still that DT. Aindra Prabhu's head was very near to the DT feet, bending situation. It was very irritating. However, he started 87. 87 Dasara, 1987 Kirtan was started. And due to his also blessing, inspiration, and still that 24 hours Kirtan is going on. Prabhupada has desired in beginning that there should be 24 hours Kirtan in Krishna Nam temple. Many president, the manager, they try by and forth, sometimes 24 people. Then Aindra Prabhu started full translation. Still that 24 hours. He started 1987 Sahara Day, and still how many years? 14 years, and this 24 years continuous. So this is continuous. The reason why wherever any kirtan takes place, the kirtan mela, so it is like compulsory to put and the I'm very much fortunate and feel myself really honored and fortunate that on this but I remember, of course in my memory always I personally feel very much honored and fortunate that I got very close and intimate relationship with Aindra Prabhu ki.
Sir Gavin.
महाराज की
Vrindavan. What Margaret is beautiful. He can see on stage. I think we should not be giving a speaker. Yeah, he'll come. Yeah.
The weekends, right?
Yeah, Saturday, Sunday.
Used to be like 4 days a week.
Pandemic, everyone was stuck, so we got to go out a lot more than that.
So what he does is he plays Aindra Prabhu's kirtan, and they do kirtan along with it, and people really get into it. So he wants to give a demo of this. All right, you're up.
Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. So I had a very little association with Aindra Prabhu, and I was thinking that it would be nice for him to come to LA and give a kirtan, but he left his body. And during the pandemic, we didn't have a Sankirtan team because everyone was in lockdown. So one day I was taking a bike up the hill, and I was trying to play my drum and sing at the same time. I brought a speaker with me, and I played Aindra Prabhu on a small JBL flip, and people loved it. They responded really well. So it's evolved, to make a long story short, into the Krishna party
And here's the demonstration.
Very loud. Warning.
All right. So people loved it and they respond really well. You ever wanted to go on Harinam but you didn't have a team and nobody came with you? And Harinam was only once a week, and so you didn't go, you didn't leave the temple. Well, by using robots and picking your favorite kirtans, especially Aindra Prabhu's kirtans, which are like amazing. They have all the mellows are there: heartbreak, triumph, excitement, victory, devastation. It's all in his kirtans there. So even though I didn't spend a lot of time with Aindra Prabhu, I hang out with him 8 hours a week, and we do the Santa Monica Pier. And we have over 300 videos of people dancing, just their reaction. They respond better than even when we had 15 people on a Harinam party. So it started in a humble way, but now we have about 4 or 5 other devotees who come with us. So I was thinking that this is a way that we can not only utilize Aindra Prabhu's kirtans, if you can't sing with them, you sing along like in response. It's really easy. You just get a speaker, a JBL Flip, a JBL Extreme, or a Soundcore. I know there's so many speakers, and you just practice getting his association by chanting along with him. Because very often we may not know, like, what is enthusiastic kirtan sound like, Prabhu? Like, what is, that energy? You have to be living to preach Krishna consciousness. You got to have energy, and that energy is modeled by Aindra Prabhu. So he's giving the fired up kirtan, and he forces you, if you sing along with him, you're forced to follow that example. Try to follow that example and run and put your energy in. And not just, I'm the only one who has any kirtan experience on our party. I saw video of me chanting in public. I said, nobody's going to sign up and join if they see me chanting. So we just hide behind Aindra Prabhu and use him as our shield. We hide behind him. And he's the core and he's the leadership of our whole Harinam party. And it foolproofs the whole thing. No talent required. You pick up a shaker and just follow. Be brave, and you will be all successful. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
I've personally been on many of his Harinams, and I can say that I've never seen so many people dance, so many, outsiders dance on Harinam as they've danced with Aindra's kirtan. And if you watch the videos on YouTube, you'll see the same.
Harinam Sankirtan Yagya ki Jai. His Divine Grace Aindra Prabhu ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi.
It actually all started when
Today we are observing the Girobhav Mahamahotsav, or the disappearance day of Aindra Prabhu. Why are we celebrating? Why are we celebrating the disappearance day, or the day somebody
Is this your phone? Can I get your videos later? Can I have your number? Or you'll send it to Madhav Prabhu? Okay, thank you.
But the devotee has, by the power of transcendental knowledge, since we understand that we are not this body, but we are the spirit soul, and those who are pure enough and advanced enough go to the Loma Vilas after their demise. So the disappearance day of a great personality or a great Vaishnava is sad with him in one sense. It's very, very, very sad. But at the same time, it's also an opportunity to rejoice as well, because it marks the, you can say, it marks the point where that person goes back home, back to Godhead. So pure devotees like Aindra Prabhu were very sure that he went back home, back to Godhead. He was a self-realized soul. That was very apparent, as with all great acharyas in our line as well, and in any bona fide Vaishnava Sampradaya. So great personalities, on their disappearance day, or the day that they have left their bodies, you could say, go into Samadhi, they are reunited with the Lord in the spiritual world. And this is why we observe that day, or in other words, celebrate the disappearance day of great personalities. So, unfortunately for us, but fortunately for him, on this day, not solar day, but the Tithi, it was actually July 16th, the night of July 16th, 2010. He left his body in Sri Vrindavan. And another thing is, leaving your body in Vrindavan is a whole other totally auspicious thing. It says in Shastra that one who leaves their body in Braj is considered to be the topmost Brajavasi. There are three types of Brajavasis, Aindra Prabhu used to say, according to Shastra. One who was born in Braj, like our dear Nijadam Prabhu, he was born in Braj, he was from Chowji, so we have Brajavasi here on earth, born Brajavasi. Those who reside in Sri Vrindavan Dham, and those who leave their body in Sri Vrindavan. Because one who leaves their body in Sri Vrindavan Dham, ultimately, sooner or later, even if they're not ready, they may become, if they're nonsense, they may become monkeys first, as Prabhupada said, or dogs and hogs. But then that's their last course. But if they're, especially pure Vaishnavas like I am, they leave their body in Sri Vrindavan Dham, to go over the enter the Bama Vilas to get, you could say, oriented, and then to go over. So I had the great fortune of basically growing up with Aindra Prabhu, thanks to my illustrious father, Bhakta. I was about 13 when I first met Aindra Prabhu. I had plans to go to the Gurukul in Mayapur, the Dominical one, but it was shut down at the time. So we somehow ended up joining Aindra Prabhu in the 24-hour Kirtan in the summer of 2001. I had met him way before that though, more than 6 months before that. So we joined him. I had basically no idea what was going on. I was a brahmachari. I was 14 by then. I wasn't into academic studies. I was more into being a brahmachari and doing devotional service. I was also very much into kirtan and also deity worship. So when we joined, one thing was I didn't know like what the system was. I just said 6 hours kirtan. So I thought, okay, how does it work? 6 hours kirtan. So I mean, you know, all these devotees in the ashram, they go down to do kirtan for a few hours here, a few hours there, and as long as it's culminating in 6 hours in the day, and that's fine. Does it work like that? So I was confused, what's going on, how does this work? So I started doing 2 different shifts. By the way, Aindra Prabhu at that time had his room in the Gurukul building. It's called the Gurukul building because the Gurukul is there. It was built and opened in 1976. It's been torn down this year because they're constructing something new on the campus of Krishna Bala Mandir. But we had the Brahmachari ashram there for the longest time, both Gurukul and Brahmachari ashram. And Aindra Prabhu had his own room, which was like amazing. I mean, going into that place, it was the spiritual world. He said, "My room is the spiritual world," and it was. It was just the most amazing place. Still a simple room, but he had like dirt floors. He wanted to make it like as if it was like really different. Really smartness. One of the villages was a mixture of gobar and liquid with the cow dung and smeared on the walls. So he did that also, but in a very artistic way. He put like different trees and vines and flowers and a beehive and different things. He painted the ceiling of the sky with clouds. He collected, remember those certain things from certain places?
Tree dunda.
Tree dundas, yeah, he had many tree dundas. Little branches from different holy places in Braj. And he would collect like these sticks and stuff and kept them around his room. It was really far out, and he had all of his deities. When I first joined him, he had 400 Shalagram Shiras, But eventually, his godbrother, not his godbrother, sorry, but he was a sannyasi, disciple of Jayapataka Maharaj, Bhaktisiddhanta Swami. And also different godbrothers of different devotees was given Shalagram. And his mood was like, if Krishna's coming to me, that means he's coming to me. He wants to be, loved and taken care of by me. So he didn't wanna like refuse. So he would just keep collecting. If they would come, Bhaktisiddhanta Swami gave him 300 more, so he had 700 for a while. Then again, Bhaktisiddhanta Swami gave him another 400 sometime later. He had 1200. Then more and more started coming. Finally, the final number is somewhere around 2,500. Do you know the exact?
2,236.
2,236. Okay. So 2,236 Shalagram was the final count, and to this day they're being worshipped still. And he would do their puja every day. A very common sight was to see him in his room, right in the middle of his trays of shalagrams, holding them, massaging them. And he had big Nitai Sachisutta deities, which he had acquired in an interesting way. They were just abandoned in the Sankirtan bus for some days in the sweltering heat, and he noticed that and was like, this is nonsense. He took him out of the bus and just put him in his room. Later on, people came like looking for the DDs. Oh, he didn't give them back. He chastised them. You nonsense. He kept them just sitting in the hot bus. You know? So now they're with me. I want to take care of them. So every day he was doing this seva, this puja. His bhajan was very deep, extremely deep. He would get really into his japa and his deity worship every day. And the result of this was that when he would go down for kirtan, for a very long time, in the beginning he was doing a lot of kirtan, 8 hours. He restarted the 24-hour kirtan in 1986. Prabhupada had it established when the temple opened in 1975, but after Prabhupada left, it gradually came to what they call screeching halt. So then he tells a story that the temple accountant Kapurji he had a dream after the morning program, and he came to Aindra Prabhu crying and was saying, Aindra Prabhu, I just had a dream, and Srila Prabhupada was crying, saying, why is there no 24-hour kirtan in my temple? So he was encouraging Aindra Prabhu also, you like to do kirtan, you're doing it, for so many hours a day. Why don't you take this back up again? So he did, and they restarted it in 1986 on Ram Vijayanatha Day in October. So he was doing a lot of kirtan, 8-10 hours a day, but eventually, his voice started breaking down a little, and he had to decrease his kirtan times. When I first joined him, those days he was doing about 40-45 minutes, and then gradually it went to half an hour. For some time it was even like 20 minutes. It became half an hour. What had happened was, I didn't know what was going on, so I just started doing I decided, okay, I'll go down from like 11 to 12 and 5 to 8 or something like that. And I started noticing, devotees are doing something here, or they're changing, it's like shifts or something. And somebody wanted to change their shift. And they asked, I don't know about him, what he's doing, maybe I can switch with him. So they asked Aindra Prabhu, and he was like, well, I don't know which shift he's on. So he asked me, and I said, I'm going down from 11 to 2. And he's like, well, that's, okay, we have these shifts here, 10 to 1, 1 to 4, 4 to 7, 7 to 10. What other kirtan time are you doing? I said, I'm doing 5 to 8. He said, that's not a kirtan time. So you do 10 to 1 and 4 to 7. So I did that, and after a while, I was noticing also that, I'm the only one doing these 2 shifts. And I asked if I could change to 7 to 10, 4 to 7, 7 to 10 morning, 4 to 7 evening. And he said, no, if you don't do these 2 shifts, how are you going to get the experience? Why did he say that? Because those are the 2 main public shifts, where he used to put his kirtaniyas who were, let's say, musically able and who could do fired up kirtan, because those are the fired up kirtan shifts. So he wanted me to get that experience. And one time on the 10 to 1 shift, I was just sitting there, not playing any instruments. It was way in my early days, just figuring things out there. Still 14 years old, just kind of getting introduced to the whole thing. Aindra would come down sometimes, just look and see what was going on. Back then, it wasn't like now, where there's cameras everywhere, and you can, there's live streams, and you can just tune in somewhere and see everything. So he would come down. He wasn't into all this technology also. He wasn't so into it. He didn't have a phone, nothing. So he came down once during 10 to 1, and he saw myself and one other brahmachari named Param Purush Das from Ukraine. He was also on that shift. Nice brahmachari. He's still going to. 10 to 1 morning, 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. And we were sitting there. So, of course, these days, even today in Kirtan, you'll see, many devotees, they just sit. So, I saw him doing that because he had already been there for a while. I thought, okay, maybe this is okay. We can just sit down and not play any instruments or anything. So both of us were sitting there, not playing any instruments. Maybe we were singing. But, he chastised us. He said, hey, don't just sit there, do something. There's a mridanga there, play it or something, And then he spoke to me afterwards, I think a couple different times, actually. And this really made an impression, actually. So I've always kind of followed this instruction since then to this day. He said, Kirtan means putting your full energy into the service of the holy name, into the service of Krishna. Don't be a half-baked cookie, he said. What's the use of a half-baked cookie? So, that means if you're sitting down, you're not utilizing your full potential, you're not serving to your full capacity in the kirtan by chanting loudly, especially, at least clapping your hands, playing some of the instruments at least, giving your, God-given talents, at least playing kartals or something. If you're not doing that, then you're not really fully giving it your all. So he said, this is what it means to do kirtan. Full energy. Chant as loudly as possible. Always play something. Don't just sit there. So he gave me this instruction, He talked about it in depth. I can't really explain everything. It's much different when I say it. When he says it, when he said it to me, it was just totally amazing and in depth and all these things. I can't repeat, but I got the essence. This was so many years ago. It was in 2001. Yeah, I think we should do that. With devotees in the kirtan, we should actually get into it. He did that himself. He set the example when he was leading kirtan. He was moving. He was moving his entire body. Even though we do sit down kirtan, some people rip these days. You just sit down. There's no more dancing kirtan these days. Everyone's sitting. Certain people rip on us, or sometimes. But he was actually, okay, even though we're sitting down, we're really putting a lot into it. And he was just moving, totally in line. And he would try to get everyone else around him to do the same. If someone was sitting there, he would just say, hey, come on, clap your hands. You can even hear in some of the recordings, Janmashtami 2004 at one point, which, by the way, he said was the heaviest kirtan that had ever happened. At least to that date, Janmashtami 2004. You can hear at one point he's saying, clap your hands, come on. At one point in Mayapur, he didn't feel like everyone was giving it their all. 2009, both of us were there. We used to go every year to Mayapur, that's a whole different story. But once he was doing kirtan, right? And you can hear it in the recordings too. It's like, not enough Shakti. And he just shouted, give it all you got! And then the kirtan took off. Man, I was like, okay, so in 2002, the next year, I ended up becoming his mridanga player. I was a lot skinnier back then, young. And boy, it was just okay, he needed really hardcore, energetic mridanga playing. Especially in those days, his kirtan became more and more intense. You can hear earlier recordings from the 90s and stuff, it's more mellow. Later on, from around the Brajvilas time, 1998, it started getting heavy. And it started getting heavier and heavier and heavier, So I joined him like when it was heavy, and it even got heavier than that. His kirtan style, the intensity of his kirtan, you know. Tivrena bhakti yogena. You know, tivra means sharp, or like hardcore with intensity and purpose. So that's how he used to perform his bhakti, tivrena bhakti yogena, fully, with full capacity. And he tried to get everyone else to do that too. He was also very strict in his dealings with the opposite sex. Anytime that, as a renunciate, he considered himself in the renounced order. Anytime he would talk to any Mataji, sometimes some Matajis would want to talk to him outside the temple after Kirtan. So he would always grab one of us to stand there with him, so that it wasn't as if he was having a one-on-one conversation with them. That was his standard, always. So he did that. He considered himself in the renounced order, even though he didn't formally take sannyas. He was living the life of a sannyasi, basically, or let's say like a Babaji sannyasi, Paramahamsa sannyasi, even though he didn't travel around. The thing is that he was so pure that just by staying in one place, doing kirtan, just in the temple room of Krishna Balaram Mandir, and just for half an hour every day, he impacted the entire world for generations. It's amazing. It's because of that Shuddhana. He was chanting so purely. It's amazing to see. In 2011, I was in Toronto for some kirtan program that they invited me to. And one of the devotees, one of the boys, one young Indian boy from Canada, he told me that I would be in a bar right now if it weren't for Aindra Prabhu. So he's not the only case of this. So many, especially the younger generation, many of them tend to not be very interested in Krishna consciousness, and they stray onto other things, right? Just by hearing his kirtans, after he had passed, not even seeing him, meeting him, being in his kirtans, just hearing the recordings, just by that transcendental sound vibration being transmitted through the recording, just by that, they've become so touched that an interest in Nam Sankirtan has been sparked. They're capitalizing on it. And you can see so many of the younger generation are doing nice kirtan on the inspiration of Aindra Prabhu. It's really amazing. There was one thing that happened which was quite quite amazing. One time I was in front of Srila Prabhupada's Samadhi in 2008. Yes, 2008. And we would run into each other. Of course, I used to live with him in the ashram for some years, about 5 years. But eventually I was transitioning into the Grihastha ashram. So I had my own place, but I would still come and associate with him in his room and do kirtan. Of course, since I was his mridanga player, his personal mridanga player, I would do kirtan with him, of course, every day. But so we would still run into each other sometimes at different places around the temple or outside. So he was coming back from somewhere. He had this bag, like a cloth bag, and he was like kind of in a jolly mood. I asked him what's up, and he told me this whole story. That there's actually a photo of this. My wife happened to be there on the other side, and she took a picture of us talking. What was going on at that time was he was telling me how, had this one. Obviously, we knew about this rat that was in his room somehow. I never heard of that before. Just this one time out of all those years I was with him, about 10 years. There was this rat, big rat. It ate the tulsi plant that he had in his room. It was causing so much mischief, just making this, doing so many nuisance things. So what happened was, finally they were able to trap it. Now I was telling this story maybe a little different, but Gopal recently, who was also very close with Aindra Prabhu, he was Aindra Prabhu's other Madonna player actually. He gave some insight and kind of tried to correct the history a little bit. He said that actually he caught the rat. He caught it in that bag apparently. In any case, Aindra Prabhu had this bag and he had the rat in it. Whether the cage trap was in it or not, I remember him talking about a cage trap. I thought the cage trap was in there. Maybe not. Maybe he just had the rat in the bag itself. And I think, according to Gopal, he says he took it. That could be the case. So Aindra's going with this rat in the bag, it's zipped, to the Yamuna. Because if you catch a rat, you can't release it nearby, it'll come back, right? Isn't it? So you have to go somewhere far away and release it so it won't. That's how they do it there. I know that here. So he got on a rickshaw, he went down to the Yamuna, and he said, he could hear it jumping around. It was definitely there. And when he got off the rickshaw and went down to release the rat, he opened the bag, it wasn't there. There was no rat in the bag. He's telling me this, like, look at this bag. There's no way it could have escaped. Look, there's no hole, no rip, nothing. It's just this zipper, and the zipper was closed. So it's like, wow. He did say that, after a while on the rickshaw, he noticed that things were quiet. Suddenly it wasn't jumping around, so he thought, okay, maybe it just stopped panicking. But apparently it was gone. So he said, this must have been some great personality coming to check me out. So that could be. I just to end. I think it's important that his mood in kirtan. So I just want to read something from an interview. A devotee asked a question in ragas. They sing at Mangalarti time. There are different ragas for different times. Sometimes, do you keep that in mind when you sing? Aindra Prabhu says, yeah, sometimes, but not always. Because my precedence is the passage in Govinda Lilamrita where the gopis and Krishna during the Rasa Leela in the middle of the night, they were singing all ragas without any consideration of time or season. I do remember him reading this in his room, reading out from it. He would say, this was in relation to people who would, there was a new trend that started, I think by Madhava, who started I think he was the one that started it, but it could have been someone else, but he picked it up for sure. Madhava used to be really close with Aindra. Basically, he kind of also grew up with him from the age of 18. He was his Madonna player, he played on him. We also did start a new record album, by the way, that was still not finished, unfortunately, but hopefully we will do it soon. I kept running into technical difficulties with it, it was just crazy. And so much time and energy has been spent into it. It still needs a little more work, but fortunately, Natabar Guranga Prabhu is a qualified person who's going to help me finish it, I believe, right? Whenever we get a chance. So, back to what I was saying. Madhava had, or someone had started this trend of singing long kirtans with the same tune. But he was saying that, okay, that's not That's fine, as long as you're chanting, at least trying to chant purely. But at least from an artistic perspective, you don't necessarily have to do it like that, because the gopis did it like this. You can see there's descriptions in Govinda Lilamrita, and he took the book and he started reading from it. He started reading out from it. That within this short amount of time, they sang this rag, that rag, this rag, that rag. He was just reading straight out from it. So back to this interview here. They were singing all ragas without any consideration of time or season, and they sang hundreds of ragas. It's described all the different, at least many of the different ragas they were singing, they are described in the Govinda Lilamrita. And all of the different types of rhythms, it's all described there. And then it even describes how their rhythmic programming was very complex. It wasn't simple stuff. So his kirtan style was considered to be a little more complex than the average ISKCON kirtan, because he actually used proper techniques, he utilized proper traditional tals and ragas, and even put his own flair into it. These are not new things actually. They're actually, there since time immemorial. They're part of the ancient process of music. But he made it prominent in ISKCON, especially these days, and people are becoming more inspired by his kirtan style. Even to the point of manifesting something that was, at least to my knowledge, not ever really done before. Half-speed dotal. We used to do half-speed tutal a lot. There was even a time when tutal is like, we call it tutal. It's actually, dadra or lofa. It's 3 beats. In the West they call it waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Very common, especially it's a traditional tal. But he took this and stretched it out, way out, to the point where it was like that. And I ended up kind of establishing a mridanga system for it. So yeah, people were kind of like really, always like these lights. Sripada Aindra Prabhu's answer on how to best connect with Nam. The holy name is a beautiful, sweetest of all sweetest coward boy. He is a coward boy, a beautiful blue coward boy, handsome and completely captivating to the heart. By the mercy of Hare Radha, our hearts have become undeniably, intensely enchanted by the sweetness of that little coward boy, Krishna. And because we have become enchanted by him, and he is aware of that, naturally, he won't leave us alone. Again and again and again, he pastures on our tongues by forcing his way into our consciousness, dancing on our tongues. Practically, as if in involuntary motion, Nam is again and again appearing on our tongues. It is then very difficult for us to forget Nam, because again and again, Nam is appearing in our hearts and dancing on our tongues. So I can't offer any idea concerning the methodology of chanting, how to focus the mind, how to increase attraction to the holy name, or any such things, beyond the simple fact that because Krishna has captivated our hearts, and our hearts go to him, naturally he reciprocates by again and again coming and pasturing on our tongues in various ways. He comes in the form of Nam Sankirtan, in the form of our Nikunj Seva, our Nam Bhajan. Nam Sankirtan is ideally loud chanting of the holy name for 3 purposes: to develop love of God, to glorify him, and for the benefit of others. It is selfless for celebration. That's important. Unfortunately, a semblance or a lesser form of kirtan is becoming prevalent today. It is materially motivated, or let us say, it does not have love of God as the goal. I think Ramrai Prabhu mentioned something about this earlier, right? Or somebody was mentioning. I think you mentioned, yeah, about the proper mood to have kirtan. It should not be materially motivated. One time in 2003, he had noticed that the kirtans, or our department, our 24-hour kirtan department, was becoming a bit too relaxed, or devotees were not really putting their all into it. And Akhanda Nam was being broken. By the way, Akhanda means unbroken. And the program that we have in Vrindavan Temple, 24-hour kirtan, is actually Akhanda Nam. So the Mahamantra is being chanted continuously without any stop. So he had the responsibility to maintain the Hare Krishna Mahamantra being chanted non-stop without any break in the temple. To this day, it's still going on. Hopefully, they're being good about it. So in 2003, I was in the ashram. I was in his ashram at that time. He became really very heavy with everyone. We had a Nishta Goshti. And he was saying that what we should be doing is Ahoituki, Apratihata, Akhandana. So Ahoituki, Apratihata. Unmotivated, uninterrupted. Ahoituki means without any material motivation, unmotivated. Not like you're not motivated to do it. It's like not materially motivated to do it. And uninterrupted. So that's what we should be doing. Real Sankirtan is pure giving without any holding back. The heart is at the center of real glorification, real kirtan, but it's a science too handed down by the sages. One should learn this science with full dedication. There are various kinds of chanting. The lowest kind involves the desire for material gain. People want things in this world, and they chant to get them. A little higher is shadow chanting, which is about liberation from the material world. This seems to be a spiritual goal, but for Vaishnavas, it is just the beginning, and it is distasteful. It's not about love of God, but about wanting to get out of material misery. That's still a material motivation. And then there's the kind of chanting that results in prema bhakti, or pure love, which is Shuddhanam, the pure chanting of the Holy Name. This is what our lineage teaches. This is real kirtan. Lord Chaitanya's movement is meant to give the world Premanam Sankirtan. This is why Prabhupada came to the West, to offer the highest benefit, pure love of God, to one and all. We should learn to chant purely under those who have genuine love, and in this way we can awaken pure devotion, especially for Radha and Krishna. This is what kirtan is really about. Shri Shriman Aindra Prabhu ki, Prabhupada ki, Nitai Gaur Premanandi. So we're getting a little short now. We want to kind of not drag the program out too long, too late. But how's everybody feeling? Good?
Got it.
Getting tired, sleepy? Wanting to go home?
More kirtan.
Yeah, we should do kirtan.
Unless someone else wants to speak.
So we want to hear a little bit from Kuva, who had a little bit of association with Aindra Prabhu.
Yes.
So yeah, please come up.
I guess the
There's this sort of more philosophical aspect, and then like just the time spent. So I don't know which to start with, but I remember seeing Ram Roy Prabhu. It's always wonderful to see. He, Bhagavat, and Govinda were the three people that I remember most from when I first met Aindra Prabhu. My first trip to Vrindavan when I was 18 in 1998, and it was. I had spent most of my youth not interested in Krishna consciousness, and then it had a sudden sort of plunge into it. And my mother had saved up and bought me a ticket to Vrindavan. I spent 6 months, and it was mainly at the end where I got to the sort of the culminating experience was in Aindra's room. Prior to that, I guess I've always been a bit of a softie, raised by a single mom, and always with the hanging on to the sari pleats of the Matajis of the community, and so my first trip to there was I was staying, with the Matajis that I known, and then eventually ventured out. But during that time, there was my first introduction to Aindra Prabhu was during Bhagavatam class. It was in the 8th canto, and it was the Vamana Devi's pastimes. And just very slowly, the subject matters were going back and forth, and the topic of marriage somehow was this interesting, like very slow ping pong game or something like that, where he first Dave would go back and forth, and I was trying to figure out, should I become a brahmachari or should I get married? And sort of this very black and white idea. But Mahatma Prabhu was giving class, and he gave a very pro-marriage class. And I was like, okay, this is it. I finally, definitive answer. Okay, yes, I'll get married. And then he asked for questions, and then suddenly the temple room got like this, like polarized silence, as if everything was like in a particular mood, and then all of a sudden it like all withdrew, and I hear whispers. I realized and then all this sudden, I'm trying to figure out what's going on, and then I'll just, for the sake of theatrics,
stands up and just remains quiet for some time, holding the microphone to his mouth without speaking. And he's cloaked in raw silk, and like tied in the ways which I'd never seen before. And like it's just this like the kind of like I don't know. In another context, it could be like a whirlwind coming in, about something to happen. It's like, what's about to happen? I don't know what's going on. And and then he's like, well, actually, and his voice was quivering, and like there was just so much energy that was being held back. And I don't remember what he said because it just kind of like. But I just remember it was sort of the opposite direction of what Mahatma Prabhu was encouraging in the matter of the class, and I was just like, who is this? And then I then encountered his kirtan, and it was just this like intense, ferocious kirtan. So yeah, it was 1998, and so it got the genre was established at Vrindavan Prabhu. That's when it got intense, and so it was sort of in the midst of all of that, and the sort of soft, pliable faith, sensory advocate that I was and unfortunately remain. It was just kind of like, oh, if I get too close to this, I'm gonna get pulled in too deep, and I don't know if I can handle that. Faith issues, trust in anyone with position, sannyasis, or anyone with high status in the Hare Krishna movement, I was apprehensive of. But there was an undeniable phenomenon that Aindra Prabhu was, and so anyhow, I managed to kind of remain on the outskirts for a bit, and then finally, in my last month, this was April. I'd gone
on November 11th, and then I left on the last day. My visa was good, a 6-month visa. It was November 14th, or sorry, April 14th, something like that. It was in the Shumicha Tortoise. But the night before, I ended up in the Brahmachari ashram for my last month, and my last night, I had to go see Aindra. I don't know, I'm kind of okay with this. It was blazing hot. We were, sleeping on the roof, but so they kind of like pushed me into his room, and I was just, sort of sitting there. I felt like perhaps that rat that was eventually caught, but with like with a prowling. He was there doing his service and going back and forth, and I was just, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I didn't know what to say. He didn't fully acknowledge me, but I was just sitting there, and there was all these amazing artifacts, and this tall tree, which he described he'd had it for many years, and then one day he heard this sound, chewing sound, and then all these beetles flew out of it. It's interesting, and so it's just this very rich experience. And then he went to the shower and came back and dropped his cloth and took up another one, and it's just like, I don't even know how to process all this information. But and then he just jumped into the things that I remember. I told him, he just kind of looked like, yes, today's my last night in Vrindavan, and I leave tomorrow. And he just, once one arrives in Vrindavan, one should never leave. My visa. I don't know, and then so he said, but the only excuse by which one can leave Vrindavan is to then bring others to Vrindavan. So that had really sat with me. And then he went on this whole thing on the Babajis in Radhakund. They say that our sampradaya is broken, that we're a shiksha sampradaya, not a diksha sampradaya, and that our diksha line is broken. And he said, this is not true. And I traced it back to Narottam Das Thakur, or Gorkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, and then disciplic succession, Janava Mata, and so we have an intact parampara, and so we're both intact as a shiksha sampradaya and a diksha sampradaya. Do not, the Babajis of Radhakund, ever dissuade you from, that we are fully connected in all manners in our Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition. I'm sure this will come in handy at some point. And so that was, I just remember, that was great. And then he hadn't eaten yet, and he was serving me preparations that were made, I assume, much earlier in the day, based on like it wasn't even sour, it was like foamy, like fuzzy on my tongue, fermented. And so I was eating these sabjis, and I didn't dare like oh, I think going off in the heat of the summer, so I just ate it, and okay. And so anyhow, so that was the Don't Leave Vrindavan, the Parampara. Oh yeah, and then it was just about to start Purushottam Mas. He's like, you're leaving just before Purushottam Mas? And he's the biggest idiot, It's just like, why would you leave before Purushottam Mas? So he instructed me to offer a lamp. Yeah, that was now 99, yeah. And so those were the poignant moments from that first trip. And so even though I had sort of exemplified the remaining on the outside of the jar of honey, yet perhaps the fragrance of the honey still managed to influence me, and that intensity with which he practiced Krishna consciousness, though it scared me, also enticed me and had me at times be willing to just kind of dip in a bit deeper than I would have perhaps if I hadn't had such an example. And I've had numerous experiences, including or Jagannath, where I'm grateful for that example to show that one can go like all in and that Krishna reciprocates. I remember when Panchatattva he introduced perhaps that when the half because I just remember like the character, like, he was like, oh, my interest in life, or he never leaves Vrindavan. And so there's this, wow, and then the kirtan starts, and then it's just like, and then like, when's the next thing gonna come? Oh, whoa, there. it was, I'd never heard anything like it in kirtan, but anyhow, Vrindavan could elaborate detail on that, but it was just, everything was a phenomenon. Like, and then on that first trip, and I said, what are you doing? Like, is there anything I can do to support the ashram? And Fisherman's Friend, and the micro CDs, they're like cassettes with a CD inside. And mini discs, yes. And so he was mixing everything on 2 mini disc players, and then I think with like a Y connector into the headphones. And it was like super low tech. That was how all his albums were mixed together. It was just like overdubbing onto these 2 mini disc players, and so that was how to support the ashram. I never did, but I thought it was the strangest things: Fisherman's Friends and mini discs. But so anyhow, so that
should make sense.
So that was, I think, the majority, and I remember arriving just after Aindra Prabhu's disappearance day. He had given one of his infamous offerings to Srila Prabhupada, connected with some of the content of his book. And I had just missed him actually speaking, but I was, I walked into the assembly of devotees, and I was, kind of rushing, and oh, I'm missing the offerings, and then everyone was just like, what just happened? Did he just do that? And it was like, what happened? What happened? And so I still actually don't know. So some people explained he's quoting the Yogic Brahmins and using quite harsh language, but yeah, again, and then shortly after that, then I heard of his disappearance. The sort of more philosophical aspect, I think, due to whatever discrepancies in my nature and presence of envy, greed, and lust, and all of that, if I exemplify anything, it's from Narottam Das Thakur's song Golokera Premadana in Hari Hari Vifale, Golokera Premadana, Harinam Sankirtan. I feel like Aindra Prabhu exemplifies that, and then I perhaps more so the Ratina Janmilo Kinhotaida. Unfortunately, I don't have taste. And I'm starting to see as the years go on how I had such a wonderful opportunity, so many opportunities I could have associated with them, and those who did went on to have such taste for the holy names. And as I see even my taste sometimes in the present even diminished lower than normal, I appreciate more the examples of the devotees who really cherish the opportunity, and as Balaram Prabhu had said so nicely, that when you have an opportunity to associate with a saintly devotee, like, don't give up that opportunity. And it really sort of stirred for me, perhaps, why I was asked to speak something, even though I had very little association, and the association I did have, I was either fearful or envious. But for this, to convey the simple message, don't be fearful or envious of the Vaishnavas, that they, like desire trees, are able to fulfill our desires, particularly if they are to serve the holy names. And there is much need in this world for those who can chant the holy name with taste, because then others can experience the taste, just as we see exemplified by Aindra Prabhu, and demonstrated by Madhav Mahotsav Prabhu. And so, yes, cherish this opportunity to chant the holy names is so rare to associate with devotees who chant the holy names is so rare, and what to speak of when someone really has intense dedication to chanting the holy names. And don't take my position, and I hope I can offer take advantage of this opportunity to express my embarrassment and regret to have sat with, heard from, walked past a saintly devotee with such intense faith and love, who has like the malleability. His faith is malleable probably as much as Balaram's club is malleable. Yeah, so I wish I had understood the opportunity I had at the time, and hearing the glorification of this wonderful devotee, I am feeling both the mixture of regret and feeling of great fortune that I did get to have some association. I did get to hear from and have some presence, and I get to now also regret not having taken more. So may we not miss another opportunity to hear from and glorify the Lord's devotees and to chant together the holy names of the Lord. Thanks.
Really nice. Aindra Prabhu was very, very. He was very intent on telling the devotees the glories of Purushottam Mas and also Kartik Mas. So yeah, it comes every 2 to 3 years, sometimes after 2 years, sometimes after 3 years. It's really auspicious. He was always really hammering it into them. According to Padma Puran and our other Shastras, you should take the most advantage of this month, especially Purushottam Mas. So in reference to what he was saying, 1999, that was the one. In 2001, there was also Purushottam Mas. Shortly after I joined him, luckily I also got the Purushottam Mas nectar from Aindra Prabhu. So that gave some memories there. Okay, so we're gonna do a little arti for the deities, short arti, and then we'll stop and do Pushpanjali for Aindra Prabhu, little arti for Aindra Prabhu, and then you can have prasad. Aindra Prabhu, okay. Jai, Jai. Prabhupada ki. Jai. Gaur Premanand.
Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare.
Krishna, 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 Krishna,